Dear Diary, I checked my phone this morning. The plastic woman had left me a message. She had some juicy rumors to tell me. Indeed, there had never been such moist canards. She saw our little Willem Dafoe wandering outside with one of the medallions last night. He must have assumed I wouldn't break into the shed again. He'd obviously never heard of the term repeat offender. I threw on a pair of flip-flops that I found in the locker room and ran out into the ice-barren wasteland. A few steps into the snow, I heard a loud cracking noise, immediately felt a few toes lighter. I turned around to put on some proper lower body coverings, but the door was locked tight. It took me a few moments to register what was going on before my mind finally settled on attempted murder. I sprinted as fast as I could on my quickly failing legs toward the shed and threw the door open. The heat of the ungodly machine warmed my bones somewhat, but not enough to thaw my marrow. I found the MacGuffin that the human silicone injection was talking about, and I turned the machine back on. It did exactly as I'd hoped. The goblin warped me through reality to the space in front of his desk. He was livid that I kept wasting his souls on a simple taxi service, but calmed down once I explained the situation to him. He told me there was nothing to worry about, and if I just kept practicing, that I too could be granted immunity to the cold. He then threw me outside again. I went over to the shack to try and teleport myself back, but the green gobstopper had somehow locked it. I meandered through the snow, searching for some sort of shelter, eventually coming across Ezra, I Married a Literal Cow, Wickford's secret garden. As neat as it was to see this glimpse into the private life of such an undoubtedly revolutionary man, the only thing really worth mentioning is that there was a bust of his head that you could rotate to see a very insensitively placed lever, seemingly mocking him for his mysterious object implanted in the back of the head, death. Pulling said lever revealed a secret compartment at the base of the statue containing a very valuable frisbee. I wanted to see how it flew. One thing led to another, and I found a route back into the castle. I had all 3 medallions, and it was finally time for me to see what Hogsmooch had seen so many nights ago. Alas, all I saw was more gibberish and eldritch symbols. In order to progress any further in the plot, I would have to make a blood pact with the author-historian. Thankfully, though, I always keep a vial of blood on me in case of events such as this. She said it was written in some long-dead language called French, and that it said something about hope and searching for diamonds and stuff. But I was engrossed by the snow outside the window that hadn't moved an inch since I'd arrived. I suddenly remembered that I still had that key from the candle, and that there was a big locked door in the underbasement that I had neglected when I was first there. Funny how quickly you forget things like that. I made my way down and unlocked the door. I was immediately beset upon by a puzzle. There were stepping stones suspended over a pit of indeterminate depth. The only way to cross would be to find a way to move the stones into position, or take uncomfortably long steps. I chose the latter. Beyond that was a tunnel which led to the titular royal tower. There were precarious steps to my right, an open-roofed room full of sharp implements buried point upwards in the ground to my left, and a puzzle to my middle. The room was locked, so I went for the stairs. Unfortunately, the stairs ended above the room full of spiky implements. I would have risked the jump, but I had nearly reached my limit on puncture wounds, so I went back to the puzzle instead. It was a sliding puzzle. The only way to solve it was to get the 4 animal sigils into their respective slots. The only problem was that if you got them moving in a direction, the pieces would keep moving until they hit a wall or another piece. I marveled at the engineering prowess that went into such a convoluted puzzle, then picked up the pieces from the board and put them in their slots by hand. No puzzle can stand in the way of the great teenage detective. I heard the sound of stone grinding against stone as the steps protruded from the wall. At the top of the steps was a room tiled in ivory, wallpapered with gold, and otherwise completely unfurnished with the exception of a few electric lights and a large mural of Marie Antoinette. As interesting as it was, my eyes were immediately drawn to one of the leaf designs on the wall. The pieces were all jumbled up for some reason. Thankfully, though, I'm magic. The wall opened to reveal a leather-bound hardcover tome detailing the atrocities committed by Marie Antoinette during the Revolution. I assume, anyways. It was all in French again. I took it to Hogsmooch to be translated. No sooner had the tome left my pocket, she demanded I give it to her. I insisted that it belongs in a museum, and she proceeded to go into intricate, gruesome detail of what she would do to me if I didn't hand her the book right then and there. The part about the trephine was very convincing, especially when she brought it out to show me.
It won't be pretty.
We reached a reluctant agreement, but only because I was pretty sure my friends wouldn't know what a book was. I would give her the book, and then she would have the book. It was a fairly one-sided agreement, but she had beautiful eyes. A whole box full, in fact. I broke into her room later and stole the translation anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Let's go find that treasure.